All right, we should be live. Let me just check and make sure. But yeah, today we're gonna continue similar discussion we were having yesterday. I think we were talking about Jung towards the end. I think we started with Robert Greene and then we ended up with Jung. Today we're gonna do Jordan Peterson and then Jung because I really I don't know. This is like I don't know if I'm alone in feeling this, but I feel like with Jordan Peterson was sticking to psychology, that's when he was the most interesting. But then when he went into politics, it kind of just became the same thing as everyone else. And I think Jordan has some very interesting interpretations of Jung, and I don't know. I just like it just brings me back to those days where I was like listening to his like lectures while he was still a professor, and you're like, wow, this is very interesting. Like, dude, he has the worst voice ever, but I could listen to him speak about Pinocchio for hours upon hours upon hours. It's just funny. But yeah, we'll start the video. Um, yeah, it's this one first. So I have two videos pulled up. First this one, and then
Audible.
this one's too loud. Oh wait, this is the wrong way.
It's not okay for you to be
I
a
don't know why that was
weak
so loud.
loser. It's not okay.
Is that too low?
And the reason it's not okay is because you could be way more than that. And it's a crime, an ethical crime.
So what he's saying here sounds counterintuitive because think about the people that are like, oh, you have to be courteous, oh, you have to be nice, oh, you have to be all these things. He's not arguing against that. This is like the Nietzschean idea of men that are nice are usually cowards. And the best way to explain this is the Abraham Lincoln quote: any man can endure hardship. If you want to see the true extent of a man, give him power and see what he does with it. And that's really how you tell the character and the quality of the individual. It's not easy, or it's not difficult to be nice when it benefits you. It's difficult to be nice and compassionate and a good person when you have power over other people. And essentially that's what he's saying. It's like so many people are lulled into this state of being nice for the sake of being nice and not nice for the good reason. It's the example I like to use a lot. It's when a rich man, when somebody that's clearly a wicked person is giving to charity for the sake of public opinion, for the sake of making them seem like a better person and not actually for the sake of helping people. Does it mean anything for Bill Gates to give $1 billion, or does it mean more for somebody that really doesn't have the money to give, but gives it to someone in need? And that's essentially what it's talking about. It's, doing things for the sake of doing them, not for the sake of the reward, is essentially what it is.
For you to allow all that necessary potential
Oh my God, his
to go to
voice is
waste.
horrible.
It hurts you, it hurts your family.
So I say his voice is horrible because I normally listen to him at like 1.5 speed, and it sounds so much better. We have two videos pulled up, so I'm gonna speak a little bit.
It hurts the world. Really, really, it does. And people think, oh, okay, I get it. And they do get it because they know at some level. If you turn around and you confront the suffering voluntarily, you find out that you are way tougher than you think. It's not that life is better than you think. Life is as harsh as you think. It might even be worse, but you are way tougher than you think.
Confront the suffering voluntarily. It's always better to meet an enemy on your own terms than on their terms. If you've ever read The Art of War, that's one of the essential elements, but it's also true philosophically. If you run from something your whole life, then you'll just be avoiding it and you can never face it with a plan. And, think about like people that are afraid of public speaking, there's going to be a time in their life when they're going to have to public speak. Because they haven't utilized that skill, they're not going to be good at it. Because they're not good at it, then they can't take advantage of that opportunity. It's that idea. It's that whatever you're running from is eventually going to catch up with you, and you better be prepared for it. You might as well just try. You might as well just go after it, and even if you fail, you failed. But at least you didn't do so while being afraid. And that's essentially the element that he's talking about. Because, really the catalyst for growth is facing fears. The catalyst for growth is doing something before you're ready. if you go out there and every time you try something you succeed, what do you learn from it? It's when you try something that's a little bit beyond your skill level. It's when you try something that is beyond your current capabilities that you can really show off your true potential, who you really are.
Think if you turn around and confront it. And so then what you discover is that there's a spirit within you that can pursue something meaningful, that has the resilience and the strength to contend properly with the catastrophe of existence without becoming bitter. That's actually the central. So, and I would say that's one of the central themes of the 12 Rules for Life, is that make no mistake about it. Like, the first noble truth of Buddhism, life is suffering. This is true. And it's worse than that because it's suffering contaminated by malevolence. That's the baseline. And so that's very pessimistic. But the optimistic part is that you are so damn tough you can actually not only deal with that, you can improve it.
So like what he's saying is that even though life is suffering, it's it's the challenges that we continually face that we become stronger and we become able to face. Like I don't necessarily know if my life has gotten easier. It's just I can better deal with my mental struggles. I can better deal with my emotions. I can better deal with my more negative tendencies than I used to. And now I don't really struggle with that many things when it comes to my mental health. And it's like it's all sorts of these ideas that he's trying to explain here. It's a very like I would say almost an esoteric idea, but once you start to nail it down, it just clicks and you're like, oh, you're telling me that if I don't face what I'm fighting now, it's going to continue to get worse. What I want you to think of is like, this is the best allegory for this, the best metaphor for this is like we create our own demons. And, it's something Manly P. Hall said, but essentially he said that everything that you struggle with starts off extremely small and it attaches to you. And the more you feed it, the more it feeds off you and the stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger it becomes. So like the problem might start out the size of an ant, but by the time you face it, it's the size of Godzilla. But the thing about this is when you recognize that you've created this monster in your head, then you recognize that you have the power to create something so strong. So you also have the power to create something even stronger. You have the power to face this thing because it's really not as bad as you ever imagined. As Seneca said, we suffer more in our own minds than we do in reality. And that's a quote that rings true in everything you do. You're always going to build up everything far worse to what it ever could be in reality, far worse to what it ever could be when you actually experience it. Even if things go worse beyond your wildest dreams, it's still not as intimidating and it's still not as stressful as that scenario that you painted in your mind. That petrified state where you can't even move, that you're shaking and nothing feels like you can get yourself out of this hole.
It's like, oh, well, that's a horrible situation. But it turns out that I'm armed for the task. Well, that's a great thing for people to know. And I think the fact that we're armed for the task is even more true than the fact that life is catastrophe contaminated by malevolence. We're stronger than things are terrible. And things are pretty terrible. So that means we're pretty damn strong.
Wow.
Yes, it's a very good thing to know. And it's not naive optimism. It's a very different thing. It's like, no, things are terrible. They're brutal. And you are so damn tough, you can't believe it. The idea that in some
What's up,
sense
Zahir?
you're an eternal victim. Well, there's a truth in that, given that nature is conspiring to destroy you.
What's like, I, what he's about to say is probably the same thing that I'm going to say. You are an eternal victim, but you're also the eternal hero. So it's like, double-edged sword because at one point every hero once faced a setback. So you're a victim in the sense that bad things happen to you, but you're a hero in the sense that you can overcome them, that you can take this pain, that you could transform it into something else. Essentially, this is what Buddha was talking about when he talks about the idea of karma. I mean, it's kind of we have this like very convoluted idea of karma, but essentially what he just said was your actions ring into eternity. The things you do will affect not just yourself, but the other people. And then the other people will affect more people and more people and more people and more people. So, like, let's say you're an asshole to somebody and it really affects them. Well, that's going to affect everyone else in their lives because they're going to take it out on that person. And the only way to overcome karma is to take that pain, take that instance where you were wronged and transmute it and transform it into something better. It's the same thing as Jesus dying on the cross. Jesus took the sins of the world and purified them. He made them into a reincarnation. He rebirthed them as something pure, as something positive, as a symbol of inspiration. It's the same exact allegory. You can find it in absolutely every single myth and absolutely every single great story. This is really the building blocks of life. Like take what the world does to you and make it good. That's the eternal lesson. That's the thing that you were meant to learn. That's really the way out of your current situation. Like we were talking yesterday about forgiving your enemies and loving your enemies. This is how you do it. You take the things that people do to you, you take the pain, you take the experience, and you transmute it into something good. Maybe something catastrophic happened to you. Okay, then you become an advocate fighting against that exact issue. You use your experience and turn it into something positive. You help other people through your experience. You tell people your story. You spread awareness. Like there's so many things that we can do with these states that would otherwise make us victims, but yet people sit there and they fold. And that's essentially what he's saying right here.
you and will be successful in the end, that you're undermined by your own society at the same time you're buttressed by it, and that you're a target of your own malevolence and that of others. I mean, so there's a triad of tragic and malevolent forces that are aimed directly at your heart, and that's always the case. But to not take responsibility for that and to attribute to that.
It's always your fault. And the more you can understand that everything that happens to you is your fault, the more you can take responsibility for it. I'm not saying that like obviously it's not your fault, but I just want you to approach things this way. What could I have done better? How could I have responded? Because you see, every time a relationship breaks down, very few people are actually honest and say, you know what, that person fucking sucked, but I also sucked as well. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. And maybe they didn't treat me right, but I didn't also treat them perfectly as well. And it's only the person that can recognize that that will ever have a happy relationship. It's the same thing with everything else in your life. Can you recognize where you went wrong? Can you recognize where someone wronged you and you also wronged yourself? That's the key. It's taking responsibility and it's not making yourself a victim. It's understanding that you have a say. Even if it's an infinitesimally small change that you could have made it. That's the key. That's how we move forward. That's how we keep pushing. That's how we keep growing. That's how we keep learning.
To a cosmic injustice or a sociological injustice in some sense that's aimed particularly at you, that's somehow the fault of others, is to miss the great adventure of your life. In that adoption of that adventurous mode of being, there's a deep meaning to be found. Right? A meaning maybe that transcends just you, that involves your family and that involves your community and maybe even the destiny of humanity itself. But there's nothing about that that's secure or easy, and very little that has to do with happiness.
Anything worthwhile is difficult. Nothing that comes easy will ever mean anything to you. Think of the people that win the lottery and blow their fortunes in a few years. They did that because everyone will say, "Oh, well, this person was just not smart with their money." That maybe that's a reason, but it's also that everything they bought felt hollow. They thought that the moment they would have money, they would be happy. But the truth is, they had so much money, they had so much access to things that it just felt more and more and more and empty. And they kept chasing that dragon. They kept chasing that same sensation of when they first struck it rich. And it's just you need more than just surface layer fulfillment. You need that deep fulfillment that aligns with your soul. You will not get that from anything easy. You will get that from trying and failing 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 thousands of times. And then you get that one success and you're like, you know what, that was worth it. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of the hero's journey. That's the whole point of your journey.
the the idea that your problems should be solved for you, let's say, and that it's unfair that you have them, well, it, it it's attractive in that there's nothing for you to do except complain, but it's horrifying in that there's nothing for you to do except complain. The difficult
William Blake said hell is self-justification. And boy, was he right with that. Any moment you say, I could have been this, but this, I could have been this, but this is the moment that you give yourself excuses and the moment that you stay stuck. The only way to change your outlook on life, the only way to change your life is to change. And making excuses, complaining, makes you complicit in the process. It makes you stuck. It makes sure that you don't change anything about yourself. And I'm not saying not to have actual stripes. I'm not saying not to actually have gripes with people, but look first to what you can do and then do those things and then maybe blame others. But until you've done everything you you can do yourself, it makes no sense to point the finger at other people for something you could fix yourself.
Difficulty is actually, the funny thing is the difficulty is actually the destiny. And it is insanely difficult.
Difficulty is the
But
destiny.
maybe you're insanely up.
Tolkien said, "Not all who wander are lost," essentially stating that it's not necessarily about the destination; it's about the journey. It's the person you become along the way that prepares you for the destination. It makes it worthwhile.
Up to the task. The problem with the pursuit of happiness is that when life storms come along, happiness disappears, and then you're left with nothing. And so you need to pursue something that's deeper than happiness.
I don't agree with this. I don't think people understand the idea of happiness. I think people kind of um, they can't make sense of it. Happiness is awareness. Happiness is the calm moment you feel when you're surrounded by people you love and you're not thinking about anything else. We think about happiness in the sense that like, oh, I have this, oh, I have that, oh, I reached this goal, oh, I have this, I have this, I have like, no, you don't need anything for happiness. You just need yourself. You need to be yourself in the moment. That's happiness. So I always disagree with like philosophers with intellectuals when they say these sorts of things because it's much more profoundly deep than they even understand. And these are like I don't even know how to explain this. Like you can only understand this idea if you understand like Taoist or Taoist philosophy. This is not even my own ideas. I'm just parroting their beliefs. But
And if happiness comes along, well, then hooray for you. You don't want to despise it because it's fleeting, but it's much better to pursue things that are
happiness isn't
meaningful than
fleeting.
things that make you happy. It's deeper and it or
They're coincidental. Pursuing things that are meaningful is happiness. Like you're happy when you on your phone and you see a bunch of like dog videos and it makes you laugh. Like maybe that's like a form of happiness, but that's not like true happiness. That's like a fleeting happiness. Whereas the purposeful, meaningful, fulfilling happiness comes from the pursuit of a goal that is fulfilling, the pursuit of a goal that's you can lose yourself in.
orients you more appropriately in it, and it keeps you centered in your own life. It makes you more useful for your family and your community. So a lot of what people find in life that provides them with a sustaining meaning is a consequence of not the pursuit of rights or the pursuit of happiness or the or the or the development of self-esteem, but the adoption of responsibility. And the more responsibility
The adoption of responsibility. So essentially what he's saying is you need to take on some risk to have some reward. Nothing in this world is for free. Everything comes with a price. So it's this adoption of responsibility that is essential for you to have any purpose, any meaning, any fulfillment. And a lot of people like this is really the secret to like short-term gratification versus long-term gratification. Short-term gratification, you can have those little glimpses of happiness, but there's no responsibility. There's nothing, there's no accountability. There's nothing stopping you from focusing on the things that really matter. So that's why it doesn't feel like anything. Whereas, let's say you're pursuing a YouTube channel, you don't post for years and years and years, you're going to fall off. I haven't even got on anything, but like it's that idea. It's like you're not doing what you're doing, so you don't get the reward. That's the thing people don't want to accept. It's not that things are easy. It's the point that things are hard that make them have any sort of fulfillment associated behind it.
in some sense the better. Responsibility for yourself, for making sure that your life lays itself out like it should. Responsibility for your family, responsibility for
Doesn't he sound so much better at 1.5 or
the
1.25 speed?
community. It's people who take responsibility that are the ones that you admire, and that's the right pathway through life. That's where meaning is to be found. And I think that's probably the crucial issue, is that identification of a profound relationship between responsibility and meaning. And for many of the people that I'm talking with, it seems like that's the first time that that's been articulated for them.
Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Again, I feel like I've said this before. I don't agree. I think comparison is the worst thing for you. The only thing you should do is embody your idealized self and live as that as much as possible. You don't need to compare anything else. Pretend like you already have it, feel like you already have it, act like you already have it, and move through the world with that kind of mindset and see what happens. Is there anything else? No, there's nothing else. Sponsorship. And these guys sold out. That was um after school. I I I really need to shout out these channels. It's not that anyone is in here right now, but for habit, I need to start doing this. This is Academy of Ideas. We react to these two guys' channels a lot. So yeah, follow them. They have great stuff. The best part about these guys is like they do a very good job of like hitting the broad points so that I can go off on tangents. Because if I have to explain every different point, then I'm just gonna go. I feel like it won't be as exciting. Whereas I can break down the next level, I can agree or disagree or say, no, it's actually this or it's actually that. I don't necessarily like the I don't know, there's a certain like I don't like being organized in my ideas. I don't like being organized in my expression. So it's very difficult for me to come up with a presentation and go through this point and go through this point and go through this point and like stay on it. Whereas these guys are very good at that. So I applaud these guys for what they do.
Members have access to over 70 or a one-time sum in the light
If
of
you
one
like this guy, get his membership.
like
No,
plants,
get my membership.
so men also.
Like plants, some men also grow, some in the light, others in the shadows. There are many who need the shadows and not the light. Okay. Sure. This is about Carl Gustav Jung in the shadow. I always like saying Carl Gustav Jung. It's so funny. I hope that's like a common name. I'm just like bullying someone right now. So the Jungian shadow, summarized very simply. This is my favorite analogy. Think of the mask you have to wear to be part of society. So like, let's say you're in a conversation with your HR, or your boss, or somebody that's just more sensitive, somebody that, really doesn't enjoy a more callous style of speaking, you're going to be a different person. And then let's say you're with your friends, you're a different person. And let's say that you're with your parents, then you're a different person. Let's say you're with your girlfriend and you're a different person. Like we wear these different masks to be part of society. And overall we kind of have a mask that we show to the world, but we are a different person when we're alone. And it's the difference between what's behind this mask and who we really are. That's the part of yourself that wants to come out. And that's the part of yourself that wants you to express it. So when you get in traffic and someone cuts you off, you start screaming the most horrific things you can think of. You flip them off. You do everything aside from get out of your car. Like, you know what I mean? And meanwhile, this person only inconvenienced you for 5 seconds. Like this is where you see like blind rage. This is where you see people like crash out. It's because they have a very, very strong shadow that they have not dealt with. And the thing that is essential to understanding the shadow is your shadow isn't bad, it's just misplaced. It's like a kid that doesn't know any better. It's like a dog that poops in the house just because he hasn't been potty trained. It's just they don't know better. It's just something that doesn't register. And this is the detrimental aspect of the shadow. It's pure, raw, unfiltered personality. It's not curtailed into anything better. And essentially, Jung's big solution is to study your shadow, is to understand it, is to somehow come to grips with these characteristics and use them for good. Like I'm a very passionate person, I'm a very brash person. The way I say things is very confronting. And like for years upon years upon years upon years, I would just say stuff to people and it would be like I wouldn't dress it up at all. And I'd be like, why does this person not like me? Why is this person angry at me? It's because I'm saying like I'm like cursing in front of somebody that doesn't like cursing. And meanwhile, if I just change the word, it doesn't do anything. I don't change the meaning. I don't change how nasty what I said was. It's just that person has a sensibility where they didn't like that word. And because of that, like that person likes me now. You know what I mean? It's like it's little things like that. Like you can always curtail your more negative traits. You can always use your bad side for good. It's the recognition of your bad side that allows you to use it for good. And really, this is the general cheat code for men. For women, it's a little different. Um, but I don't. I think it's a little. I think for women, it depends more on the woman. I think, but I think most men in general, especially like with the archetype of what a man is today, it's it's very it's very like weird, and you're not really allowed to be expressive at all. And I'm not even saying like you have to cry or you have to do this, you have to do that, but essentially just to be creative. If you find a creative outlet in your life, you find happiness. But so many men just don't find that. Like think of what most men are interested in, sports, video games, stuff like that. Where are they expressing themselves? Where are they painting? Where are they drawing? Where are they thinking? Where are they creating? And it's when they find that creative endeavor. For me, it was jujitsu. Once I started doing jujitsu, my life changed. Like it just gave me an outlet to use that energy to master a skill, to get good at something, and to build my confidence and build that side of myself that was kind of unfulfilled. And like everyone has something like that they could pursue. And when you start pursuing these things, you start tackling these issues that you've been avoiding your whole life. So for me, I never felt like I was good enough. I never felt like I was good at anything. No matter what, I was like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. And like through the course of training, like I kind of just got humbled to the fact of like, wow, these people have shown up for years upon years upon years upon years. And like, no matter how good I am, I can always train. I can always get better. I can always do this. I can always do that. And then you progress and then you become good. And then you're like, wow, I actually did something. Wow, I'm actually getting pretty good in comparison to where I used to be. And it like built a level of self-confidence in me that I'd never had before. Wow, I have been ranting for probably 10 minutes, 28 seconds into a video.
Also grow, some in the light, others in the shadows. There are many who need the shadows and not the light. None of us are as good as we like to think. We possess animalistic drives for sex and power. We have a cruel and aggressive side that can do great harm to others, and we tend to deny our flaws and weaknesses. But what we deny does not disappear.
Everyone has a shadow too, by the way. Unless you're like Buddha or Jesus or like an enlightened master, that's the only way you get over your shadow.
It sinks into the unconscious and congregates in what Carl Jung called the shadow. In this video, we are going to explore.
And if you don't recognize this, you're the most dangerous kind of person. Like think of the people that like um what is it called? Why is it blanking my mind? They like put themselves on a pedestal. They're like, well, you're this, you're that, you're this kind of person, you're this. Like they virtue signal. I don't want to talk about politics, but like it's both sides. Whoever anytime anyone's trying to virtue signal to you, that is a wicked person. That is a person that is so insecure that they cannot even notice their own faults. And that's somebody that's taking out on someone else because they want to feel better about themselves. It's very
How confronting the shadow and integrating its elements into our personality is a means to rejuvenate our life and heal a divided world. Only the man who goes through this darkness, writes Jung, can hope to make any further progress.
only the man who goes through this darkness can hope to make any further progress. What's up, Hypnaudio? Dude, I haven't seen you in a stream in so long. Where you been? What you been up to, man? What's all moved into? Only the man who goes through this darkness can hope to make any further progress. Think about like everything you fix about yourself, you're fixing surface level issues. So like, you know, a lot of the self-help advice is like, oh, you got to get your money up. Oh, you got to get in shape. Oh, you got to be more masculine. It's like, that might help you. That might help you on the surface. But if you don't dig down to the roots, those issues are always going to be there and they're going to become more of issues because the more power you have and the darker your shadow, the more abuse you can use of it. You know, like a wicked man is not necessarily a dangerous man, but a wicked man in power is a very dangerous man. I'm good. I hope all is well with you. Yeah, nothing to complain about right now. I got a wedding this weekend, so it should be fun. Um, it's like I'm not like in the wedding party or anything, so I just get to show up, just have a good time. I feel like that's like the best part of it, right? Because I don't want to do like the rehearsal dinner. I don't want to do like, oh, you gotta stand the ceremony and do all this stuff. Like, I'll probably just take this book with me. I'll probably finish it this weekend. I'll have a good old time. It'll be fun.
For a shadow to be cast, an object must impede a path of light. The object that casts our psychological shadow is our persona. Persona is a Latin word signifying a mask worn by an actor. In Jungian psychology, the persona represents the metaphorical mask we wear.
Just think of like your persona is your status, who you are, the things about you that you believe, the things about you that people say, everything that kind of goes into creating who you appear to be. Because obviously, like, there's a difference. Like, think about how somebody who hates you views you. obviously there's a difference in between how that person views you and the reality. Think about it like that. That's a very good example. Hopefully there's a free bar. Yeah, there's a free bar. Yeah, should I do a stream while, while after I hit the open bar? I'm just like slurring every single word. Guys, man, talking about Jung.
in the social world. It is the collection of character traits we want
The problem is when I like if I were to do that, I would just like I wouldn't be like I would just curse every 2 seconds because I just lose my filter and I can't be like it wouldn't be a when it would be much more like crass and I don't think that'd be enjoyable at all because it's bad. I lose like my ability to like do any sort of wordplay. What's up, Banjo? How's everything?
others to believe define us. Or as Jung writes, the persona is a kind of mask, designed on the one hand to make a definite impression upon
Yeah, I
others,
said all
and,
this
on the
already.
other, to conceal the true nature of the individual. The construction of our persona
The mask you wear to be part of society. That's my favorite way to explain it. So like, would you be able to nuptial stream? Would you be able to like go into any room and speak your opinions? And I think you can like there's this general air that like, oh, I, I believe this. I can't be in a room with this type of people. Like it's that. It's like it's holding yourself back for the sake of being accepted.
begins early in life, as we learn which elements of our character garner approval from family members, peers, and society at large, and which are rejected. The former we integrate into our persona, the latter we hide behind this mask. Over time, however, so as not to feel like a fraud, most of us identify with our persona and in the process hide unwanted
You're
character
not good
traits not
today?
only from
What's wrong?
others, but also from ourselves. These character traits are repressed and congregate in the unconscious to form the shadow. The shadow is the inferior part of the personality, sum of all psychic elements.
All right. I wouldn't say it's all right, this is a Young quote, so maybe I shouldn't say anything about Young. I don't like how he's saying it's the inferior part of the personality. It's the part of your personality that's underdeveloped. Because when you say inferior, it's not lesser, it's just you don't utilize it. It's like a skill that you've never practiced before. Think about it like that. The proof that you can't speak your opinion these days happened a couple days ago. I mean, I think it just made it stronger because now he's a symbol of like now his words mean more than anything that he could have said while he was alive. So like in essence, like he's deified now. I mean, it's the same thing as like when Malcolm X was assassinated. Like his voice got amplified. The things he said meant so much more because clearly he was doing something. So I think it's a real turning point, and I think it's like there obviously it's a horrific thing, but there is a silver lining. There is it seems to me that things are changing and that there's a real conversation about the importance of being able to converse versus senseless violence.
Which, because of their incompatibility with the chosen conscious attitude of the persona, are denied expression in life and therefore coalesce into a relatively autonomous splinter personality, with contrary tendencies in the unconscious. The repressed contents of our shadow do not lie dormant in the unconscious, never to be heard from again. Rather, they operate in an autonomous manner behind the spotlight of conscious awareness. One way the shadow manifests itself is through projection, wherein we perceive in other individuals, groups, nations, races, or political parties the weaknesses,
What you hate most is yourself, essentially. Like the things you hate about others is what you hate about yourself.
faults, and evils that reside within ourselves.
People try to like stupefy projection into like purely, oh, this guy he drives a big truck, he must have a small peener. Like maybe, but it's also like there's probably like some inferiority complex. It doesn't necessarily mean that. Maybe if you're a Freudian, you believe that.
Or as Jung
It's
put
very
it,
reductive.
we still attribute to the other fellow all the evil and inferior qualities that we do not like to recognize in ourselves, and therefore have to criticize and attack him, when all that has happened is that an inferior soul has emigrated from one person to another. The world is still full of
So what you view other people negatively for is yourself again. And it's the things that you're unable to recognize about yourself. Because let's say you have like I'm not going to make fun of someone for being bald. Like that would be ridiculous. Like, oh wow, you're losing your hair. Like, so am I. Like it's that idea. Like once you recognize it, you're not going to once you recognize it and curtail it, you're not going to insult someone for that. You're not going to hate someone for that because you recognize your own capacity for it. You recognize your own shortcoming for it.
Scapegoats, just as it formerly teemed with witches and werewolves. Elements of our shadow also find expression in our day to day life by affecting our moods and behaviors. For the
So
character
slow.
traits, instincts, and desires that we repress fester in the unconscious, creating a tension between our conscious personality and the autonomous splinter personality of the shadow. At times of stress or conflict, when our conscious mind is unable to keep the doors of the unconscious closed, the shadow reveals itself, and often with damaging consequences. There are patients who boast that for them the shadow side does not exist. They
I think I said this a few minutes ago, but people that say the shadow side doesn't exist are people that you need to watch out for. Because if you don't understand your own capacity, then you're going to be tormented by it. Think about it like this: you know, obviously this is the same because Jung had a huge influence on Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's the exact same analogy. The first step of the 12 steps is you have to admit you have a problem. And before that, you can't do anything. There's no work to be done. You have to understand and categorize the thing that you're dealing with before you can even fix it. And it's the same thing. It's somebody that doesn't know their own evil is somebody you really should watch out for because they're capable of anything, honestly.
assure us that they have no conflict.
This is Manly P. Hall. This is like esoteric. I don't even know what you call him. He's like a Rosicrucian Freemason, but essentially, there's two types of evil. There's the Saturn type of evil, the satanic type of evil. It's the beastly nature. So like senseless wars, senseless violence, just brutality for the sake of brutality. And then there is the elevated Luciferian, which is the utilitarians, the people that say, "Oh, you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet." Like, no. The funniest thing I heard Kurt Metzger say this. There's never an omelet either. There's only cracking of the eggs. I thought that was so funny. That's the perfect way to put it.
But they do not see that other things of unknown origin cumber their path. Hysterical moods, underhand tricks which they play on themselves and their neighbors, a nervous inflammation of the stomach, pains in various places, irritability for no reason, and a whole host of nervous symptoms. Rather than denying the shadow, we are far better served by shining a light on this dark side of our character. Confronting the shadow begins with accepting its existence and realizing that the personality we portray to the world, and our conscious sense of self, does not represent us in totality. Once accepted, honest self reflection and self criticism can reveal some of the traits we have been hiding from. The good and the bad, explains Jung, are bound to come to light in us, should we wish, as we ought, to live without self deception and self delusion.
So it's the capacity to be honest with yourself. It's the capacity to be introspective that allows you to transform. So like this is something Osho said. Um, if wisdom came with age, then everyone in a nursing home would be a genius. But there are some idiots in nursing homes. There's some people that never grew. There's some people that never learned. There's some people that never did anything with themselves. And the the real path to wisdom is introspection, is to look at yourself, observe the things you've done, and move forward with that.
But not all the contents of our shadow can be confronted by turning within, as some elements of our character have been pushed too far into the depths of the unconscious. To unearth these elements, we can use a few different tactics. Firstly, we should
Dream analysis is the easiest. Um, I don't know if he's gonna say the other ones I look to. I think one of the easiest ones is what do you hate people for? What are the constant insults? And somewhere in that is what you struggle with the most, what you need to come to grips with the most. So like if you call people ugly, you're probably insecure of your looks. If you call people dumb, well maybe you don't feel like your intelligence has earned you any sort of accolades and you want to bring other people down. Bottom line, like a healthy conscience doesn't feel the need to bring other people down. So somewhere in the things you say about others, especially the way you treat others, is the thing that you need to work on. And even in your dreams as well. Like if somebody's mean to you in your dreams, that's really you hating yourself. If somebody bullies you in your dreams, that's you bullying yourself. Anything anyone does to you in a dream is an expression of what you want to do to yourself.
take notice of any traits in other people that trigger a particularly strong emotional reaction, as this is a sign that the same trait lies within us. Another tactic is to peer into the shadow of someone close to us, a task that is typically easier than peering into our own. For although some aspects of the shadow are personal, much that gets deposited there is influenced by social and cultural trends, and so
So like one of my favorite things to do is like because there's the shadow that's negative, and then there's like projection in a good way. So like the things you like about your best friends are the characteristics you have in yourself. So like I have some friends that are like loyal to a T, and that's like to me, I'm like always this guy's such a good guy. Like he always has my back, and it's like, oh wait, he's my best friend because I'm that way too. And in some way, like it's the ultimate like pick me up. It's the ultimate understanding that like you're critical with yourself because you're with yourself all day long. You overthink things, whereas like other people see you differently than you see yourself. And it's weird to like sometimes understand that other people like you more than you like yourself. What's up, some random guy?
shared among members of our society. A character trait we reject has likely been rejected by a sibling or close friend. If we can learn about their shadow, clues about our own will be revealed. I have come to the conclusion that the most individual thing about man is surely his consciousness, but that his shadow is far less individualized. The reason being that a man is distinguished from his fellows more by his virtues than by his negative qualities. One of the many benefits of gaining greater knowledge of our dark side is that it creates a contrast that allows the good of our character to stand out in greater prominence. Or as Jung writes, when we confront the shadow, we suddenly see both sides. We become aware not only of our moral inferiorities, but also, automatically, of our good qualities. We rightly say, I can't be as bad as all that. To confront a
To confront a person's shadow is to show him his own light. What are we watching? We are watching Carl Jung in the Shadow. Can make it a little slower. I'm just trying to get through this whole thing though, because it's the problem with me is if I don't do it fast, I'm gonna stop every 5 seconds. So like if I do it faster, then I'm going to stop less. And we're gonna get through more. Because I always just I feel like I interject and I kind of destroy the momentum of the video.
person with his shadow is to show him his own light. Confronting the shadow also reduces the ability of our flaws and weaknesses to wreak havoc on our life. Awareness of an anger issue, selfishness, greed, or aggression, or of an obsession or compulsion.
So this is something Emerson said, and I really want to exemplify this because as we explore the idea of the shadow, I think I've said this before and I said this a few minutes ago. Thinks the shadow is bad, it's not bad. There's no such thing as this is Emerson. This isn't me. I'm not this smart. Emerson said there's no such thing as a bad trait that's not also good, and there's no such thing as a good trait that's not also bad. So like there's a yin yang to everything. Let's say that your entire life you were told you're not good enough. That might drive you to work hard. That might drive you to have this internal dialogue that's like, I have to keep going, I have to keep going, I have to keep going. So like there's always good that comes out of the bad, and there's always bad that comes out of the good. And it's just the way we curtail it, it's the way we view it, it's the way we conceptualize it. So like if you have an anger issue, that just means that you're not expressing your emotions in a healthy way. So why don't you find an outlet for that? You know what I mean? Go to the gym. Go train jiu-jitsu. Go train Muay Thai. Go do something with that energy. Go express it. Go write. Go write poetry. Go paint. Like there's all sorts of these things that you can do that can make something negative into a positive, and that's essentially what tackling the shadow is. What is the video about? The shadow. The Jungian shadow, essentially the traits that you don't express that kind of become corrupted and turn into wicked parts of your.
Compulsion grants us the opportunity to exert a modicum of control over it. We can strive to overcome the flaw, or at least minimize its potential damage, for as Jung explains, the psychiatrist knows that certain dangerous unconscious forces can be rendered harmless, or at least held in check, if they are made conscious, that is, if the patient can assimilate them and integrate them with his personality. In the shadow, we also discover instinctual drives for aggression, power, and sex that contain immense amounts of energy. In becoming aware of these drives and sublimating them, that is, putting them in the service of higher
What
ends,
is this
these
picture?
drives can empower us, motivate us to take the
What the hell? Hold
needed
on, let me
risks
stop
for a
it on another
fulfilling
thing. I'll,
life, and
I'll
even
answer your
spur our
question.
creativity. Only down below, writes Jung, can
Only down below can we find the fiery source of life. That's a tremendous way to put it. What if you were told that you were not enough defeated your potential and just given up all the people? I mean, if that's your mindset, that's your mindset. Like, if you're defined by what other people say about you, then you are. That's just how it is. I was just using an example of being inspired through something bad. But like if that's your mindset, then so be it. I'm not like it is what it is. Like I'm not somebody that's kept down by anything. I'm not somebody that allows themselves to be defined by anything, and that's really what you're looking for. That's really what most people are looking for. That's really what all outward expression of strength or outward expression of power is essentially you trying to justify to the world that you're good enough. But the truth is, if you look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm happy with the things I'm doing and the person I am, you don't need anything else. So that's my answer to that.
Can we find the fiery source of life? The shadow contains more than just animalistic instincts, flaws, and weaknesses. It is also home to strengths of our character which we repressed as a result of a poor upbringing or adapting to a sick society. Some people, for example, deny their intelligence, creativity, resoluteness, or ability to act in defiance of corrupt authority figures. The shadow, writes Jung, does not consist only of morally reprehensible tendencies, but also displays a number of good qualities, such as norm.
So again, I don't like the way Jung is describing this. Look at me criticizing Carl Jung. Who the fuck am I? I would argue that the shadow traits that are negative are the same shadow traits that are positive. It's just the way we express them. Like you could be a passionate person and you could be a toxic person or you could be a lovey, bubbly person. That's it's not one or the other. It's just what way do you express it? What way do you curtail it? What way do you show yourself to the world? That's essentially what it is.
Normal instincts, appropriate reactions, realistic insights, creative impulses, etc. The shadow is on one side regrettable and reprehensible weakness, on the other side, healthy instinctivity and the prerequisite for higher consciousness. To harness the positive side of our shadow requires more than merely observing.
The shadow is one side regrettable and reprehensible weakness, on the other side healthy instinctively and prerequisite for higher consciousness. Okay. So whenever someone says higher consciousness, this is what they mean. The combination of the analytical mind with the creative mind. That's higher consciousness. That's broadly what everyone's saying. That's the alchemical process. That's the secrets of Freemasonry. That's the secrets of all this stuff. It's just active, passive, combined. That's all it is. Okay. Depends on what you think is right. Yeah. Instead of trying to integrate your shadow bit by bit, isn't it better to just live mindfully with the awareness rather than psychologically analyzing yourself so much? I mean, it depends. It's like what works for you best. So, like, if you're gonna go and be a monk, then yeah, you could just kill the unconscious. This is essentially, so this is what Jung talks about the Western ideologies, because this is essentially what you're asking. Should I just meditate and live mindfully and live like a monk and be peaceful and be purposeful in everything I do? Or should I try to bit by bit fix myself? Because the side that you're saying is like when you say live purposefully, you're talking about awareness, you're talking about living in the moment, you're talking about meditation, you're talking about these practices. Um, and I would say I'm mixed on this answer. I think it's a personal preference and it's I don't agree with blanket solutions. Like if you do something and it works for you and it makes you happy, great. I'm going to do what I want to do that's going to make me happy. And if they're the same, if they're different, as long as we get to the same point, as long as we get to the same level of happiness, great. So like there's an argument for both ways. There's an argument that if you kill your unconscious, then it stops you from a more profound depth of consciousness. If you integrate, then it takes years upon years upon years. Like there's it's a mixed bag. I would just say preference, and it's just really up to you. What does shadow mean? I've been talking about it for like 40 minutes. It's your birthday. Happy birthday, just when human. Your shadow is the traits that you don't express to be part of society. So like the parts of your personality that you curtail to fit in. You're in a meeting and somebody says something stupid, and instead of laughing at them, you just keep your mouth shut. That.
consciousness. To harness the positive side of our shadow requires more than merely observing what resides in its depths. We should consciously integrate the elements of
No,
our shadow
I
into
was
our
just laughing.
character
You're fine,
and
man.
allow them
I was just joking. It's like 2 seconds to explain.
expression in our day to day life. Or, as Jung's renowned student Erich Neumann wrote, the recognition and acceptance of the shadow presupposes more than a mere willingness to look at one's dark brother, and then to return him to a state of suppression where he languishes like a prisoner in a jail. It involves granting him freedom to share in one's life. Reconnecting with the positive side of our shadow, minimizing the effects of its negative side, and integrating it all
I don't know if this is just me. I don't really like young students as much as I like him. Like anytime I read his students' interpretations, I'm like, I'd rather just read Jung. Remember your promise about listening to BTS? I remember specifically I made no promises and you get no favors. Even though it's your birthday, you still get no favors. I'm not listening to BTS. I did that one time for 30 seconds and turned it off.
into our conscious
Mm.
sense of self, produces a character that tends toward the ideal of wholeness, which Jung believed
Jung didn't suffer from fragment itself. Jung Jung spent 5 years basically experiencing all of his pain all at once and then kind of came to an epiphany and was the the greatest psychologist ever after. So it's like it's really up to you. I mean, like, do you want to go on the path of the mystic or do you want to go on the path of the person that lives in society? It's really what it is. Just one human, I'm not doing it.
defined the psychologically healthy. As we approach a state of wholeness, we become more attractive to other people. For human beings possess an instinctive suspicion of those who appear too good and who identify too much with their persona. We know that beneath a bright
See, you weren't even gonna be here. That's why I'm not playing it.
persona lurks a dark and dangerous shadow. Far more attractive is the complete character, the whole man, who knows not only of his strengths, virtues, and potential for good, but also of
This
his
painting's so
weaknesses,
weird.
faults, and potential for evil. Or as Jung writes, the shadow belongs to the wholeness of the personality. The strong man must somewhere be weak, somewhere the clever
The closest thing to living in society while being mindful is Lao Tzu, and he was a character, so I don't think you're
man must be stupid. Otherwise, he is too good to be true and falls back on pose and bluff. Is it not an old truth that woman loves the weaknesses of the strong man more than his strength, and the stupidity of the clever man more than his cleverness? Her love wants the whole man. Those of us who take up the challenge of confronting the shadow will also help
What is this? Is this a picture of Dorian Gray? I need to
heal a
read that
divided
book.
world. For when we face the shadow, we withdraw our projections, and we stop participating in the rampant scapegoating of political opponents or members of a different race, religion, ethnicity, or gender. If you imagine someone who is brave enough to withdraw all these projections, writes Jung, then you get an individual who is conscious of a pretty thick shadow. Such a man has saddled himself with new
See, to read this book right here, you'll this is exactly the question you're asking. The answer he gives in this.
problems and conflicts. He has become a serious problem to himself, as he is now unable to say that they do this or that. They are wrong, and they must be fought against. Too many people see all the problems in society and all the problems of other people, but fail to notice the much more serious problem that lies within themselves. They fail to see they are a character split in
Think of the Gandhi quote, be the change you want to see in the world. That's essentially what he's saying. It's that anything you see in others, you must fix with yourself first. What's the saying? He who hath no sin cast the first stone. How dare you judge others before you judge yourself?
two. And until they confront the shadow side, they will only amplify the hostility and divisiveness of the modern world. The man who confronts his shadow knows that whatever is wrong in the world is in himself. And if he only learns to deal with his own shadow, he has done something real for the world. He has succeeded in shouldering at least an infinitesimal part of the gigantic, unsolved social problems of our day. How can anyone see straight when he does not even see himself and the darkness he unconsciously carries with him into all his dealings? Access the transcript in the art we use in this video.
That's like the Buddhist saying, don't try to make the world perfect, perfect yourself instead. Yeah. I think that idea is echoed in every great religion. I feel like I'm losing my voice. I'm probably gonna end it here because I feel like it's a perfect segue. If we do another video, I'm not gonna be able to speak for the rest of the night. So with that said, thank you guys so much for being here. It was a nice, fun stream. I'm gonna get back to streaming more consistently, so be on the lookout for that. Love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much. Peace out. We'll catch you in the next one.